Welcome to The Explainer. If you are planning a trip to the gorgeous northeastern tip of Canada's Prince Edward Island, you've probably already pinned the town of Souris on your map. It's got coastal beauty, it's got history, and it definitely has a touch of adventure. But before you start packing your bags, we're going to break down exactly what makes this destination so incredibly unique, using some fascinating data and history we've pulled from the archives to build your ultimate virtual itinerary.
But hey, before we map out your days, I gotta ask you something. Look at this picturesque, serene coastal town. Why on earth is it named after a rodent? It's honestly one of the most bizarre and quirky origins for a town name you'll ever come across, and knowing the story is practically a requirement before you visit. Right, so souris is literally the French word for mouse. Back between the 1720s and the 1760s, early settlers in the area dealt with these massive plagues of field mice that completely wiped out their crops. It was so intense that historical accounts talk about a French vessel in the early 1700s having to literally cut its way through waves of drowned mice in the way. I know, wild, right? But it stuck. The area popped up on maps as early as 1744 as Havre à la Souris, and they fully lean into it today. When you visit, keep your eyes peeled, because the town proudly uses a little mouse as its official mascot.
So how exactly do we tackle a trip to Mousetown? Here's our itinerary for today. 1. Welcome to Mousetown. 2. Finding your bearings. 3. Historic sites. 4. Kite surfing beaches. And 5. Dining and the ferry.
Kicking things off with Section 1. Welcome to Mousetown. Just a little brief history.
Long before those mice plagues ever happened, the Micmac, the original inhabitants of the area, had an encampment right at the head of the Souris River. Fast forward to 1727, and Acadian settlers formally founded the town as a fishing settlement. They faced some incredibly harsh conditions and were even forced out by the British in 1758 after the Siege of Louisbourg. But the settlement bounced back. It evolved over the centuries until Souris officially incorporated as a town on November 14, 1910. When you walk these streets, you're literally stepping on centuries of resilience.
Moving right along to Section 2, Finding Your Bearings. Let's talk about the geography and the people.
Geographically speaking, you're heading up to Kings County on the northeastern tip of Prince Edward Island. You'll be standing right on the Maritime Plain, which is part of the larger Appalachian region. Basically, this means the landscape features a beautiful peneplain that just gently slopes down toward the ocean. And that specific geography is exactly what gives Souris its striking coastal vistas and a really well-developed harbor, which is going to be super important for later in the trip.
As for the locals, based on the 2021 census, you're looking at a population of 1,079, so you aren't going to be fighting massive tourist crowds here. It's a cozy, tight-knit community. It's predominantly English-speaking too, with over 93% of folks listing English as their first language. Honestly, it's that perfect sweet spot for a peaceful getaway where you can actually get to know the locals, pouring your coffee, or setting you up with surf gear.
Which brings us to Section 3, Historic Sites. Let's map out a quick walking tour.
Souris is totally packed with well-preserved historic buildings, and here's your architectural hit list. Your absolute must-see is St. Mary's Roman Catholic Church. It originally went up in 1902, but get this, a massive fire tore through it, destroying pretty much everything except the exterior sandstone walls. So they rebuilt the whole thing in 1928 inside those surviving walls. It's a stunning monument to the town's endurance. Add the Matthew and McLean building, the old customs house and post office, and the McQuaid building to your walking map to really soak in that early 20th century maritime charm.
All right, time for Section 4, Kite surfing beaches. Let's swap the history books for a wetsuit and catch some wind.
If you're an adrenaline junkie, this is going to be your favorite part. The town and its surrounding beaches are massive hubs for kite surfing, but you kind of need to know where to go based on the weather. Souris Beach itself is fantastic for intermediate riders, especially when the winds are blowing in from the southwest to whip up some great waves. Now, if the wind shifts to the southeast, or if you just want to change up the scenery, grab your gear and head over to Little Harbor or Basin Head. Both of those spots offer epic conditions across a much wider variety of wind directions.
And finally, we've made it to Section 5, Dining and the Ferry. Time to refuel and explore a little further.
So, the local economy here is totally driven by the sea, specifically seasonal fishing and a huge oyster industry. For you, that translates to incredibly fresh, locally sourced seafood at all the town's restaurants and cafes. I mean, you're eating oysters practically pulled right out of the bay. Plus, Souris is a fully equipped hub for the region. Unlike some super remote tourist spots, you've got grocery stores, pharmacies, banks, and gas stations right there. You get all that charming small-town feel without sacrificing any of the basic travel conveniences you might need. Now, here's the ultimate travel hack for this itinerary. Souris doesn't actually have to be your final destination. It's a gateway. The port of Souris has hosted an interprovincial ferry terminal since the 1960s. Step 1, head to the port. Step 2, board the MV Madeline II ferry. Step 3, sail all the way out to Quebec's Magdalen Islands. It's an absolutely incredible way to extend your maritime adventure right from the heart of town.
So there you have it. The picture is complete. We've dug into that bizarre, mouse-filled history, explored the beautiful Appalachian coast, lined up a historic walking tour, checked the winds for kite surfing, and promised you some of the freshest oysters in all of Canada. With all of this incredible sandstone charm and world-class adventure waiting for you right at the edge of Prince Edward Island, when are you booking your trip to Souris? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy travels.